Though I reviewed this film for its 35th anniversary almost 5 years ago, but since its new sequel's coming up in a few days, I thought I'd re-review this a little early for its 40th anniversary. So, if there's something strange in the neighborhood, who you gonna call? You got it. Here's my re-review of Ghostbusters. Big Days Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a re-review of the 1984 supernatural comedy flick Ghostbusters, released by Columbia, directed and produced by the late great Ivan Reitman, written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, who star in this along with Bill Murray, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, Annie Potts, William Atherton, and Ernie Hudson. The film was released on June 8th, 1984. Now, it was based on Aykroyd's own fascination with spirituality. He conceived Ghostbusters as a project starring himself and his late great Saturday Night Live colleague John Belushi, in which they would venture through time and space battling supernatural threats. However, after Belushi passed away in '82 and with Aykroyd's concept deemed financially impractical, Ramis was hired to help rewrite the script to stay in New York City and make it more realistic. And well, it was the first comedy film to employ expensive special effects, and Columbia, concerned about its relatively high budget from 25 to $30 million, had a little faith in its box office potential. But nevertheless, it became a success and what have you. Now, it did kind of cause them, well, have a little bit of issues though. Well, from when it started, but I'll get to that later. For now, let's get into the story. After Columbia University parapsychology professors Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, and Egon Spengler experienced their first encounter with a ghost at the New York Public Library, the university dean dismisses the credibility of their paranormal focused research and fires them. The trio responds by establishing Ghostbusters, a paranormal investigation and elimination service operating out of a disused firehouse. They develop high tech nuclear powered equipment to capture and contain ghosts, while business is initially slow. Following a paranormal encounter in her apartment, Celeste Dana Barrett visits the Ghostbusters. She recounts witnessing a demonic dog like creature in her fridge utter a single word, Zool. Ray and Egon research Zool and details of Dana's building, while Peter inspects her apartment and unsuccessfully attempts to seduce her. The Ghostbusters are hired to remove a gluttonous ghost known as Slimer from the Sedgwick Hotel. Having failed to properly test their equipment, Egon warns the group that crossing the energy streams of their proton packed weapons could cause a catastrophic explosion. They capture the ghost and deposit it in an ecto containment unit under the firehouse. Supernatural activity rapidly increases across the city, and the Ghostbusters become famous. They hire a fourth member, Winston Zedmore, to cope with the growing demand. Suspicious of the Ghostbusters, EPA Inspector Walter Peck asks to evaluate their equipment, but Peter rebuffs him. Egon warns that the containment unit is nearing capacity and supernatural energy is surging across the city. Peter meets with Dana and informs her Zul was a demigod worshipped as a servant to Gozer the Gozerian, a shape shifting god of destruction. Upon returning home, she is possessed by Zul. A similar entity possesses her neighbor, Louis Tully. Peter arrives and finds the possessed Dana/Zul claiming to be the gatekeeper. Louis is brought to Egon by police officers and claims he is Vince Clortho, the keymaster. The Ghostbusters agree they must keep the pair separated. Peck returns with law enforcement and city workers have the Ghostbusters arrested and their containment unit deactivated, causing an explosion that releases the captured ghost. Louis/Vince escapes in the confusion and makes his way to the apartment building to join Dana/Zul. In jail, Ray and Egon reveal that Ivo Shandor, leader of a Gozer worshipping cult in the early 20th century, designed Dina's building to function as an antenna to attract and concentrate spiritual energy to summon Gozer and bring about the apocalypse. Faced with supernatural chaos across the city, the Ghostbusters convince the mayor to release them. Okay, now for the ending. If you've now, I'll give you 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, please continue once the 5 seconds is over with. Okay, you've been warned. The Ghostbusters travel to a hidden temple located on top of the building as Nia slash Zool and Louis slash Vins open the gate between dimensions and transform into demonic dogs. Gozer appears as a woman and attacks the Ghostbusters, then disappears when they attempt to retaliate. Her disembodied voice demands the Ghostbusters choose the form of the Destructor. Ray inadvertently recalls a beloved corporate mascot from his childhood, and Gozer reappears as a gigantic, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that begins destroying the city. Against his earlier advice, Egon instructs the team to cross their proton energy streams at the dimensional gate. The resulting explosion destroys Gozer's avatar, banishing it back to its dimension, and closes the gateway, and the Ghostbusters rescue Dana and Lewis from the wreckage and are welcomed on the street as heroes. End of story. So, what did I think of Ghostbusters? Well, it's a childhood favorite. I've seen this a few times. I've even streamed this like just more recently. I am going to say it's very good in my view. It's a great 80s classic. You can't go wrong with this film. No way. This was a well, this became a cultural phenomenon, and well, it was praised for its blend of comedy, action, horror, and Bill Murray's performance was often singled out for praise. But however, I liked it. The performances from the cast were very good. The story was good, and the score from Elmer Bernstein was really good as well. Anyway, it earned 282 million during its initial theatrical run, making it the second highest grossing film of 1984. Well, but however, it would be the top film of 1984, being out Beverly Hills Cop and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Anyway, it did so well. In 2015, the Library of Congress selected it for preservation in the National Film Registry, and its theme song, Ghostbusters, performed by Ray Parker Jr., who originally had a group called Radio, and this was one of his few solo hits. And this was just after he had success with a few songs, especially the song "The Other Woman," and it was a #1 hit for him. Now, of course, a few months later, after he did that, he would go on to do the theme song to the rarely remembered Saturday morning show from Sid and Mary Croft Pryor's Place, which I recently talked about last month. With its effect on popular culture and dedicated fan following, the success of the film launched a multi-billion-dollar multimedia franchise. This included the popular television animated series The Real Ghostbusters, its sequel Extreme Ghostbusters, which happens to now be out on DVD today in a complete series set, which I'll be talking about that later on this week, as well as video games, board games, comic books, clothing, music, and haunted attractions. It would be followed by a second sequel, which fared less well financially and critically, and attempts to develop a second sequel paused in 2014 after the death of Harold Ramis. After a reboot in 2016 received mixed reviews and underperformed, a second sequel to the 1984 film Ghostbusters Afterlife was released, and a third sequel, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, is due to come up. Now then, I really will say it was very, very good. Now, after the song was released, well, the theme was released. Well, I will tell you this. Now, Ivan Reitman also directed Ghostbusters music video that included several celebrity cameos. But shortly after that, Huey Lewis sued Ray Parker Jr. for plagiarizing his song I Want a New Drug released the previous year. But that case was settled out of court in '85. But then Parker later sued Lewis for breaching a confidential agreement about the case. But not only that, in 1984, the filmmakers were also sued by Harvey Cartoons, the owner of Casper the Friendly Ghost, for $50 million and the destruction of all copies of the film. Harvey alleged the Ghostbusters logo was based on their character of the ghostly trio, Fatso. But the case was decided in Columbia's favor. However, I am going to tell you this wasn't the only other time this actually happened. So, this is kind of hard to explain, to be honest. Now, there were other films, comical films that involved ghosts and what have you, that Dan Aykroyd got the idea for after he read an article on quantum physics and parapsychology in the Journal of the American Society for Physical Research, which gave him the idea of trapping ghosts, and was also drawn to the idea of modernizing the comedic ghost films of the mid 20th century by comics like Abbott and Costello and Hold That Ghost, Bob Hope and the Ghost Breakers, and the Bowery Boys and Ghost Chasers. Anyway, now. But however, the title of the film was actually legally restricted by the 1975 live action Saturday morning show, The Ghostbusters, from Filmation. Now, that show's, of course, now currently owned by Universal, and several alternative titles were considered, including Ghost Stoppers, Ghost Breakers, and Ghost Smashers. Now, Price parted way with Columbia and early in Ghostbusters production became head of Universal, at which point he sold Columbia the title for $500,000 plus 1% of the film's profits. So soon they kind of got into a little bit of and then soon they finally actually got the right to the title. Now, however, Filmation would get back at it because in 1986, the same year the real Ghostbusters came out on ABC for Saturday mornings, Filmation had also given a new update of their Ghostbusters, but in 5 days a week syndication. But anyway, enough said about that. The film got lots of good reviews. Roger Ebert cited it as a rare example of successfully combining a special effects driven blockbuster with sly dialogue. Note the effects existed to serve the actors' performances and not the reversing is an exception to the general rule that big special effects can wreck a comedy. And there was just so many of these and what have you. Anyway, Ghostbusters got nominated for 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Song for Ghostbusters. Unfortunately, it lost to Stevie Wonder's I Just Called to Say I Love You from The Woman in Red and Best Visual Effects. But unfortunately, that lost to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The theme song also, wait a minute. It also got nominated for a few Golden Globes for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, but lost to Romancing the Stone. Best Actor for Bill Murray, but lost to Dudley Moore in Mickey and Maude, and Best Original Song, but once again lost to Mr. Wonder himself. However, the theme song went on to win the BAFTA Award for Best Original Song. And Special Visual Effects was nominated, but lost, of course, in his second film. And it did win the Best Fantasy Film at the 12 Saturn Awards. So anyway, this was really good and what have you. Now I can't really say much more about this and what have you. Nevertheless, Ghostbusters proved to be a big success. Now, the film currently sits at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, saying it's an infectiously fun blend of special effects and comedy with Bill Murray's hilarious deadpan performance leading a cast of great comic turns. Definitely, I totally agree with that. It's gotten some pretty good reviews and what have you to this day and what have you. So anyway, Ghostbusters proved to be pretty good. Now, as for our cast, we have Bill Murray playing the role of Peter Venkman, very good. Dan Aykroyd as Ray Stantz, he was good. Sigourney Weaver played Dana Barrett, she was good. Harold Ramis performed Egon Spengler. Of course, Ramis recently worked with Murray on the film Stripes, which I still need to review that film. I gotta review that film sometime. Let's see. Rick Moranis played Louis Tully. He was good. Annie Potts played Janine Milnitz. Yeah, and actually, this was just even before she went on to star on the hit sitcom Designing Women. William Atherton played Walter Peck, and Ernie Hudson played Winston Zedmore. And actually, fun fact: the following year, Hudson would go on to voice Victor Stone, alias Cyborg, in the last installment of Hanna-Barbera's Super Friends franchise, the Super Powers Team Galactic Guardians, which I'll be doing a Saturday morning TV log of that later on this year. And there's also lots of cameo appearances and what have you. They even have Reginald VelJohnson, long before Die Hard and TV's Family Matters, and Jennifer Ryan, who had also appeared in the cult classic Up the Creek earlier that same year, and she also went on to do the first season of Charles in Charge later that same year, and also play a grown-up Cindy Bray in A Very Brave Christmas. Yep, really something and what have you. Also, the character of Slimer would become a big icon of the Ghostbusters franchise as well. Anyway, even after this, the real Ghostbusters proved to be a big success and what have you. And I am going to try and do a revisited Saturday morning TV log of that sometime down the road. And I also do remember one other thing that came out. The rail. I think if you've had high C when you were an 80s kid, you may remember they had something called Ecto Cooler. I actually remember that. Definitely. But anyway, enough said. That Ghostbusters just so successful. Oh, I almost forgot. I also had a couple of Ghostbusters book and recording sets that were released by Peter Pan Records. You can actually find those stories on YouTube now. I'm finally relieved they found the second story. The first story was easy to find. Ghostbusters Meet the Laser Ghost. The other was the Ghostbusters Meet the Ghost Riders. But anyway, Ghostbusters, such a great film. I do love it. It's great. So would I recommend it? I would say hell yeah, definitely. Great story, great direction, great music, score, great characters, etc., 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 etc. Enough said. Okay, so what did you think of Ghostbusters? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Join me next time when I bring to you a re-review of Ghostbusters 2. So, thanks for watching, and if you liked it, check out my reviews for the other two installments of the Ghostbusters franchise that I will not be re-reviewing. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of the all-female version from 2016. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I kind of liked it because it's kind of a guilty pleasure. I also recently rewatched that. And or go to the upper right-hand corner and see my spoiler-free review of the most recent film, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Or if you'd like, maybe I don't know, something else that was done with some of this of the that involved some Saturday Night Live performances, you can see my review of National Lampoon's Animal House from 1978 in the bottom left-hand corner. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time on the Big D Sing, see ya.